All right, all right. And we are back with the show. I think it's been a while, right? I hope that many of you were able to enjoy your European August, as some of our American friends call it, where you basically take some time off during August. We had some exciting stuff happening over the last few weeks, and so I've been really trying to stay true with the promise of doing this AMA at least once a month. Um, and for one, it's really good so that all of you can ask questions about what's happening with IOTA, but also with this, I can help to synthesize what's been happening and also what our focus and strategies, because I think it's kind of important that we have a close connection, right? The IOTA Foundation and the community, because I think as we are progressing and as we're moving forward, the community and the ecosystem around IOTA becomes even more important to realize the vision of IOTA. And I'll talk a little bit about that today during the show in regards to what our strategy is and also how we intend to move forward and win or realize the vision of IOTA. Before I get into that, I have a really exciting new shirt, right? I really love it. Thankfully I got it from Felix from IOTA Shops. We'll try and do more merchandise. I think merchandise is amazing. And I was joking that now we no longer need to choose clothing in the morning, but you can just have like a Firefly shirt. You can have a Tangle Sea shirt, NFT Marketplace shirt, and you never need to pick anymore, right? You just wear the IOTA ecosystem. So that's gonna be amazing. So we'll try and do a lot more merchandise, and we'll do some airdrops and some goodies for the community as well, which will be great. And I also got some pretty amazing fan mail, I must say. So this was actually made by one of the community members, and I got it, and it was like, damn, that's actually pretty amazing, right? To see what's been happening in the community. And I also got my calendar finally. I don't know why I got it so late, but it's huge and it's really nice. And I also got another painting, which I'm going to show you guys next time. So with that said, before I jump into the AMA, let me maybe talk a little bit about strategy, because I think that's important that all of us are fully aligned in terms of where we are headed and why we've made certain decisions, and how we also see the project move forward. Since Chrysalis, right? Chrysalis was really us having a new dawn, a narrative that we are a completely new project now, right? We removed all of this sort of technical debt of the original project that was founded in 2015, right? So IOTA has been around for more than 6 years at this point, which is also crazy to think about. But Chrysalis was really there to remove the inefficiencies, to remove the bad design decisions of IOTA, and to also come forward with a sort of new image, and that we are about building bridges, and that we are really here to realize the vision of distributed ledgers. We've always been focused on sort of value creation, right? How do you actually use blockchain and DLT technologies in the real world to solve real problems? And that has really always been a core focus of ours. And I would say the very exciting part about Chrysalis is that now we can reliably say that IOTA is ready to be built on, right? There's still some missing features, like, for example, digital assets and smart contracts. But other than that, the product itself is great, right? If you've ever used the Firefly wallet, it's absolutely amazing to send around transactions and have them confirm in a couple of seconds without any transaction fees. So that's a beautiful product already as it stands today, and it's ready to be built on, right? Exchanges need a couple of days to do the full integration. And all of our partners so far have been really happy with the new dawn of IOTA. And I think with the new dawn also came a new focus. Previously, our focus has really been on sort of enterprise and I would say government partners. Why did we do that? Simply because we wanted to show the potential, right? We wanted to work on the use cases, proof of concepts that make people imagine the machine economy and imagine the potential of IOTA. And those large industrial partners have always been a core strategy for our adoption. And I think that's why they've been really important for us to showcase and implement also in products IOTA and realize its potential, right? So with Chrysalis, and especially over the last few months, I would say, our focus has become a lot more on the community, on empowering the community, because there's nothing as important as having an active community and ecosystem around IOTA. And I must say, I'm really, like myself, really surprised at how great the community has been. I think one of the catalysts has been the whole DAO initiative, right? That we now have the ability to decide on whether we should set up a decentralized autonomous organization for IOTA that is completely community governed, or whether we want to move forward with the current setup, right? And I think that really revived the community a lot more and made people realize, like, hey, this is not just about the IOTA Foundation pushing IOTA forward, but it's really the community together with the foundation that is going to make this a big and is going to really realize the vision of IOTA. And that really helped the community revitalize itself. And that's been really great to see. And other than that, we also, as our internal strategy, have and are going to put a lot more emphasis on the community, right? How can we empower the community, and how can we provide the necessary tools, education, and support from the foundation to really make sure that the community becomes self-sufficient. And I think that's what makes this so much fun. Doing this together, right? Doing this together with you guys, and having fun while doing very stressful work at times. But that's what makes it worth it, right? It's all about the journey that we are on together. And with that said, I just want you guys to understand sort of that we are really focusing a lot more on the community and the ecosystem. And if you have ideas on what we should improve, what we should do, just let us know. There will be a bunch of initiatives that we are going to launch over the next couple of weeks and months. But I think it will be fun to develop all of this stuff together. Let me share my screen so we can jump into the AMA. And I think also the formats of engagement and the incentives to engage will also improve drastically, which will be a lot of fun. Let me go full screen, actually. Cool. Let's get a glass of water. A sip of water. First question. Hi, Dom. Congrats to everyone at the IF for the EPSI announcement. How do you rate the IOTA Foundation's chances of being the overall winners of this bid? And what are the biggest challenges you will face through this process? Also, when Hans? Maybe I'll do the last question first. We'll shape up the whole format a little bit and really get people from the foundation on board a lot more. On board, I mean, like onto the show. Right now, everybody's just really damn busy, and I always really try to shield the team from unnecessary things that take up their time or make them worry. But we definitely want to get Hans and other people from the foundation onto the show. About EPSI, that was a really, really great announcement. I personally, like, having been part of this for so long, I think this was really one of the most significant adoption news that we've had in IOTA's history. So it was really proud, like, we can all be really proud that we are in this position. And it's a huge boost to our credibility, and also like a sort of stamp of approval that what we are building has significant value to governments, and the European Union with their EPSI proposal obviously has a clear mandate or strategy to upgrade the digital infrastructure and the digital services that are being offered to citizens in Europe, and build that on top of a DLT infrastructure, right? So we are one of the finalists in this bid. That means I think right now there's 7 finalists. IOTA is the only layer 1 protocol that is being present there, and I guess we're also the only foundation, by the way. But for us, it's a very exciting opportunity because it also helps us to further our technical roadmap. So nothing that we are really proposing to EPSI in terms of the architecture or the setup, it deviates us from our current path, right? I think that's an important thing to understand, because we are not developing stuff for the European Union. We are continuing to develop IOTA as a protocol, and we are actually leveraging this EPSI grant or the opportunity to build a European infrastructure to further our roadmap, right? So I think that's an important thing, that we're not losing focus, but we're actually advancing our roadmap. And we had a sort of discussion of this about this over the last few days, that hopefully before, over the next couple of months, that we are going to share the proposal with you guys as well, so that you better understand how we are actually envisioning this whole architecture to look like. Because as you can imagine, the EU comes with you with a very clear directive, which is, hey, we need to have this infrastructure run for hundreds of thousands of businesses and millions, potentially 500 million people just in the EU alone, right? So this thing needs to be scalable and it needs to be production ready. Overall, I would say that we are really perfectly positioned for this grant, simply because what we are building with IOTA is really about having this entire architecture, right? This whole, I would say, different layers for the European Union to leverage our technologies and to build new use cases. And I'm actually trying to find this image right now so that you can better understand what I mean with that. Because we have the layer 1, right, which is the core protocol of IOTA. And then we have layer 2, which are the frameworks that are built on top of IOTA, like, for example, digital identity, which is obviously hugely important, smart contracts. And we have streams for secure data sharing and data streams, and also oracles later on. And all of this combined offers a really great package for us to be well positioned for the EPSI grant. So I think overall we feel pretty confident that we are in a very good position. Oh wait, let me open it here. Here. So this is basically what I'm talking about, right? We have the DLTs layer, which is the IOTA base layer. And this is where the transactional settlement happens, right? In the future, we have MANA. And this is really where the exciting part happens in terms of the use cases that we enable with IOTA. And then the sort of application layer on top, because it's not just about one use case, right? It's not just about digital identity. It's not just about supply chain. It's about this entire digital infrastructure that can rely on a single network and on a single architecture, right? So I think overall we feel pretty confident. The biggest challenges that we will face, it's a very bureaucratic process. So there's a lot of it will take some time for this to really bear its full potential, right? It will take at least another 1 to 2 years for this current tender to be finished. And as you can probably imagine, there's also politics involved, which is always a little bit difficult. But overall, I think it's very clear that the EU is very serious about blockchain and is very serious about investing more into their tech sector. I was just an announcement, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, about investing, I think up to $700 billion into European technology sectors, right? Especially the semiconductor sector. So overall, we feel confident about this, and it's the right strategic move for us to move forward with that. So I hope you guys are as excited as we are for this. It's sort of a mid to long term play for us in terms of adoption. And if this happens, it could really be massive, right? We're talking about really millions of users just with one adoption partner in this case, right? And if we win this will definitely be the biggest adoption case in the entire DLT space. And this is exactly what we are for. This is exactly why we built IOTA and the IOTA Foundation, to work exactly on these use cases and work with governments. And yeah, if you have any questions about EPSI, we will obviously give you guys updates as soon as they come in. Right now, we are finishing our proposal, and we are in like back and forths and discussions with the people responsible for EPSI. But once we have more, we'll keep you guys in the loop. But you can make sure that we are pushing for this permissionless setup, and to really make sure that the community and the ecosystem around IOTA is going to be closely tied into this entire setup. All right, next question. Redditor with negative karma. That's going to be an interesting one. Hi, Dom. In the last few months, I've seen more and more that Mobi push DLT like Ocean Protocol, Fetch, and Datarella, which are also supported by previous partners like Jaguar and Bosch, and have performed together at the IAA. My questions are, has IOTA lost partnerships to the competition here? What is the current market situation in the areas of IoT and mobility in relation to the adoption of IOTA? Are Datarella, Ocean Protocol, and the organization Mobix, not Mobi, serious competitors? First of all, no. Like Mobi is an alliance, right? So it's supposed to actually promote all of its partner organizations. And we actually intend to collaborate with all of the entities that are involved in that alliance, because that's the point of it, right? You want to push forward a standard, and you want to push, like, sort of advocate for the adoption of DLT technologies as a whole. So it's not that Mobi is pushing a certain technology, but it's really that they're trying to push the whole ecosystem, which is exactly what we want, right? And as I said previously, the way that this actually works is that big companies, they have innovation labs, and the innovation labs actually want to work together with different technologies to also experiment and to figure out which technology works for their specific needs. And we don't have exclusive agreements with those companies. We do try to focus less on doing proof of concepts, like early stage learning, early stage adoption, and focus a lot more on really big, sorry, that's my dog. Focus a lot more on really big test pilots, right? Pilot use cases where it's about working in a larger setting, and potentially work out on building a product like with Project Avarium. So I don't think at all that we've lost partnerships to the competition here, simply because the DLT space is still very nascent. I don't think that there's any product today that is really running in production fully on top of a DLT. And quite frankly, it's amazing that Fetch, Ocean, and so on and so forth are pushing for real world adoption. And I personally wish them all the best. And our strategy here moving forward is actually to collaborate with those other projects, because we can't do everything ourselves. And quite frankly, we are also going to do less when it comes to pushing forward adoption with specific companies, and we rather focus on empowering multipliers. Like the best example is Software AG, which is sort of a multiplier, because they then have thousands of customers that they work with, right? And so we rather focus on empowering those multipliers than pushing forward the use cases or building the use cases ourselves, because we are not the consultancy, we are not the system integrator, and we don't build proof of concepts anymore. Right, so we shifted away from that and focus more on the core technology and focus more on the empowerment of the ecosystem. which then also includes empowering protocols like Ocean and Fetch to work on top of IOTA, right? That's sort of like the ultimate vision that we have here, that they come into the IOTA ecosystem, and our technology is so great that they are actually leveraging IOTA and then leveraging it for their customers as well. So just so you guys better understand. What is the current market situation in the areas of IoT and mobility in relation to the adoption of IOTA? I mean, that's a very that's a very broad question. We focus on certain industries, right? Supply chain is a very important one for us because we see some great adoption happening there, and we have some great partners there like Zebra, everything, and the bigger project that we're doing in East Africa with Trademark East Africa. And then in mobility, we are focused a lot more on identity as well, and obviously the car e-wallet. As it happens with large companies, things always take longer than you expect, right? It's not like you are able to get adoption use cases happening within a year or two, right? It always takes more time than you expect. So things just take longer, right? But we're still pushing forward in those areas. Like that's why we're doing Gaia X. That's why we're doing EPSI. Simply because those are much bigger pilot areas where we can then get mass adoption instead of just focusing on a particular company. But we're focused on empowering the multipliers than working on case by case projects, simply because it doesn't scale for us and it doesn't have as much of an impact as you guys probably think it does. So this is a much better strategy as well for us. And you also have to ask yourselves what is the purpose of the IOTA Foundation? We've really been the catalysts or the enablers, the builders of the ecosystem. And when we started out, we understood that, hey, we need to actually showcase what the future will look like based on DLT, based on IOTA, based on IoT and IOTA, right? And that's why we've done those projects with big companies, simply to showcase the potential and to get them into the ecosystem and get them to be convinced of the technology. And I think at this phase, our core focus is on the technology, right? The frameworks, the core protocol, the tooling, and the libraries. But now it's really about empowering the ecosystem with the right tools, but also with the educational content and convincing those multipliers that I just mentioned to push forward the adoption, because we will never be able to compete in a very crowded market already, where there's all the big four consultancies that have really deep connections with large companies. So we don't even pretend that we want to compete in that area, but rather we want to focus on empowering them. And that's been working quite well, actually, especially also with system integrators who are then building now products with large companies, and also with some consultancies that we work together with. But obviously, this is stuff that we don't announce then, right? And I think at this point, it's more about the community as well, to start building and empowering them there. Next question. Let me get some water. Could you talk a bit about qwertyside? What are the missing pieces until the defnet is feature complete? Maybe I'll just answer it here. What are the missing pieces until the defnet is feature complete? Right now, we've been working on some refactoring of the code base. As all of you know, Go Shimmer is sort of a research prototype. It was started, I think it was 2 years ago now. I would have to check, but it's a research prototype, right? And so some of the code there might be highly optimized, whereas other parts of the code don't look that pretty, right? So the team has been working on refactoring a large chunk of the code base. The most important work at the moment is really the work that they've been doing on sort of improving the initial concept that was launched with the defnet, and that includes the consensus, right, where we removed FCOP, and where we now add untangle voting on a set with FPC. And it also includes some stuff about access control, and also some of the missing features that were not part of the initial release. I think the consensus part is largely done. And last I heard, they removed some 5,000 lines of code when they pushed the new pull request, which is pretty amazing, right? So the team there has done a tremendous job on updating the new consensus and improving it. And actually, what they're doing now next is they are going to have another research summit where the researchers and the engineers are actually going to meet to define some of those last missing details, because there's always some things that can be debated around the parameters, but the concept itself is defined, right? And it's being implemented as we speak. The objective is that actually our next couple of months, we are then going to publish a new defnet where everybody can participate, and where we then, together with you guys, are able to issue transactions completely in this new network, right? Until then, we're starting to write white papers on the concept itself, and also obviously doing a lot of validation and simulations that are being done by the research team right now to make sure that everything that we're doing is fully validated from a theoretical standpoint, and then also peer reviewed at the later stage. Actually, very soon. Like I hate saying soon, but I don't know what the alternative is. In the near future, but basically we're publishing an update post so that all of you understand the current state that we're at and what has been changed, why these things have been changed, and what the roadmap ahead looks like. So we'll give you guys a much more detailed overview of that, so you understand what's happening there. How is the progress of B with regard to the qwertyside preparation progressing, and what has to be done so that B can join the defnet? Right now, it makes no sense for B to join the defnet, simply because some of the components of the GoShimmer implementation will still change, right? They're not fully finalized or not fully specified yet. The B implementation, right, Rust, which is a very difficult language as well to write such, experimental code, only makes sense when you have the specifications ready. So the B team has been working on some of the components, like, for example, networking layer and stuff like that, which will not change fundamentally afterwards. But the B team is more focused at the moment on all the tooling and the libraries that are being built. And the intention or the objective here is then that B will eventually be able to join the defnet once we have the concepts fully finalized and fully validated with the GoShimmer implementation. And when that happens, I don't know. How is the transition from defnet to the mainnet plan? Test phase, incentivized testnet, test phase. Right now, the defnet is there for us to validate the concepts, right? And it was really there to improve the initial IOTA 2.0, which it really helped with. And that's why we've made those changes. Now with the next release, with the next upgrade to the defnet, with the new consensus upgrades and so on and so forth, we will again go through that testing phase where all of you are invited to participate and try and break the network. And then after that, we'll have, maybe some bug bounties, but we'll definitely have like an incentivized testnet where through some kind of mechanism, which we still have to define, the community will receive incentives to participate in the network, and especially attackers have an incentive to break the network. We'll give all of you more details on what that will look like. When it comes to the incentivized testnet, that's definitely not going to launch this year. So don't get your hopes high in that regard. What we are aiming for is obviously to upgrade the testnet and to start, or the defnet, and to start testing with all of you. But we'll, as we progress with this together with all of you, we'll obviously publish more information as well on it. But you should definitely join the GoShimmer channels if you want to stay up to date on what's happening with IOTA 2.0. And after the incentivized testnet, by the way, we will then be able to make some assessments on qwertyside itself. And it's important to get this confidence to to do the qwertyside. And what modules part have to be rewritten, required amendments to wallet libraries or other modules, streams, access, DID. How is this planned? And this is actually planned to happen already before qwertyside. So once we have the sort of finalized IOTA 2.0 version, we will then work our sort of developer experience / tooling / frameworks teams will then work on also adjusting their products, their tools to IOTA 2.0. There are obviously changes, right, from Chrysalis to IOTA 2.0 in terms of how certain things are being done. But our goal is that, for example, when it comes to the client-facing libraries, like, for example, Wallet RS or IOTA RS, that is being done by all the heavy lifting is being done by the client libraries, so that developers that are integrating IOTA don't have to do like drastic changes to their code base, right? So our team will work on those changes. And it's planned to do that as soon as we are sort of have the finalized and fully validated concept, which will probably be around the incentivized testnet phase, I would say, so that people can also build, right? We also want to see applications being built on IOTA 2.0 already before qwertyside. I think that's also an important strategy to understand for you guys, is like, we don't want to start ecosystem building with qwertyside. Like, the ecosystem building for IOTA 2.0 has to start before qwertyside happened, right? Because when we switch IOTA 1.5 to IOTA 2.0, we want to already have all of the integrations and all of the sort of applications, dApps, being built and being ready to be deployed onto the mainnet before the qwertyside happens, right? And you can be assured that this is sort of top of our mind on how to enable that strategy, and we'll be able to involve all of you in that. But yeah, think the modules and the tools and the libraries will be updated by us, including the wallet, right? And so it should be pretty smooth in that regard. Congratulations on being selected in the EPSI contest. I think this is probably, besides qwertyside, the most crucial chance for IOTA's success. Can you elaborate a bit on the other contenders in the EPSI draft? What sets IOTA apart from them, and how do you assess their solutions? Thanks, and we all support you in making this happen. First of all, thank you for the support. We appreciate that. That's what makes this a lot of fun. Overall, I personally can't say much about the other contenders in the EPSI draft, simply because I'm not deeply involved in the whole EPSI work. What I can say is that what sets us apart is that we are really, we've sort of made many improvements to the entire, like, suggestions, feedback, and also have really pushed forward the entire DLT space, right? We were the first DAG project. We really pushed forward use cases and this sort of ideation around blockchain and its use cases. And we've really shown a lot of credibility in the market by working on like more than a dozen grants that are funded by the European Union as well, work with a lot of big companies on products and integrations of IOTA. So we bring to the table a lot of professionalism, right? A lot of experience when it comes to the hardcore research and science behind DLT, to the about the implementation of them, and also the integration and the use cases. And in addition to that, we have the full package. As I've shown to you before here, we are not just focused on one component here. We are really offering the entire ecosystem, the entire infrastructure, and ready to be built on and ready to be adopted. And that's what really sets us apart from the other contenders in the EPSI draft. So we don't see this as a sales pitch that we give to the European Union and say like, hey, we are here to sell your service so that we like finance our operations. Rather, we go to the European Union and say like, hey, like, we're building this entire stack. We've built this entire stack. We're building an entire ecosystem. And this is how it can actually help you solve your problems, right? And help you achieve your objectives with EPSI. So that's why we feel pretty confident and are pretty well positioned, I would say. But obviously anything can happen. as all of you know. I think it's called Murphy's Law, right? Anything that can happen will happen, including bad stuff. But we are really focused on making this a reality, because it's a huge chance, as you said, for us to get mass adoption. And so our teams are working on it, and we are in constant discussion with the people at the EPSI team to make sure that we solve their problems, right? I think that's important to understand, right? We are here to solve their problems with IOTA at the core. That's very exciting. And by the way, how would I assess their solutions? They're really also focused on permissioned blockchains. And what's exciting about our solution is that we're actually combining permissionless with permission, right? You can launch an ISCP, IOTA smart contract, with a permissioned set of validators, and they're still able to interact with the global ecosystem. So we are offering the internet solution, and others are more focused on those intranet, more contained environments. And so I would argue that our solution also has better security that we offer to a whole continent, and that's why we're pretty happy about where we stand there with IOTA. Could you talk a bit about smart contracts? What are the missing pieces until smart contracts can hit the defnet? Smart contracts, it's very exciting. We love smart contracts. I should probably get like a smart contract shirt. I guess this one probably actually stands for smart contracts, simply because of the versatility and that you can use it, build with it whatever you want. What are the missing pieces? We are really finalizing the release. So there's some final testing that is being worked on. There's some documentation that is being worked on. Use cases as well. So all of you can click around and try out the smart contracts. And also very importantly is with this release, we really want you guys to be able to deploy smart contracts, right? So you can actually test them and build them and actually share them with the community. And I think that will be a lot of fun. And so smart contracts, big focus. The team is now, I think, nearly 12 or 15 people. And it's really amazing how what they've built. And I would say the missing pieces are not that many. We're getting very close. Also with the Ethereum virtual machine, there's some work that still needs to be done to fully refine the full integration, but it's already ready to be used. And I think all of you will be very excited to be part of this new ecosystem and also part of these new opportunities that are being created by smart contracts. So I'll personally, once IOTA smart contracts are out, I'll personally deploy some of my old Ethereum smart contracts as well. I think the last time I wrote a smart contract was in 2016. so it's a long time. But I hope that everything will work again. So we will see. I will deploy a voting application. So all of you will be able to test that. And I can really encourage all of you who are developers or curious about it, like learn Solidity, learn Rust, because you will be able to launch IOTA smart contracts, first on a defnet and then later on the mainnet. Oh, that's your question, actually. How is the transition from defnet to the mainnet planned? What has to be done or adjusted? Very good question. The upcoming smart contracts release is still on IOTA 2.0 defnet. Why is that the case? Because ISCP actually needs certain output types on the layer 1 for transactions. And those output types currently are only on the IOTA 2.0 defnet. So what our team right now is actually working on is to sort of bring this entire digital assets framework to the IOTA mainnet. So there have been some very exciting discussions over the last week, actually, on how this digital assets framework should look like for Chrysalis, for the IOTA mainnet, to make it work for smart contracts, but also to make it work for new use cases that have not been possible before. And so the team is right now finalizing the specifications, and those specifications we'll share with all of you as well, so you can better understand how this will work. Once the specifications are finalized and approved, we've gotten enough feedback internally and externally, it will be implemented in Hornet. And then we will do a sort of hard fork or an upgrade to the IOTA mainnet. And then you will actually have digital assets, output types, so you can like program your IOTA transaction and smart contracts on the IOTA mainnet. So after this IOTA 2.0 defnet release, the smart contracts team will actually work on adjusting the code base for Chrysalis, right? So that when we do this upgrade to the Chrysalis network, smart contracts will be available as well. And that will be very exciting, right? Because then it's like another upgrade after Chrysalis where we are really extending the core functionality of IOTA. And that's sort of what the roadmap looks like. But I really encourage all of you to check out the specifications once they're done. And maybe we'll do like an IOTA explained or another video series with Levi or maybe with Max. So all of you can better understand what it means, because I personally think that the most exciting part and what really differentiates us from everybody else in the smart contract space is the layer 1 tokenization, because nobody else can actually trustlessly transfer assets between smart contracts. So what we have is like a sharded smart contract ecosystem on top, right? You can deploy your own smart contract chain, or you can join another smart contract chain. And then you can trustlessly transfer assets from one smart contract to another smart contract with the same properties as a IOTA token, right? Feeless and scalable and finality within a few seconds. And that will really set us apart from everybody else in this ecosystem, right? It's really about taking composability for developers to the next level. So everybody will be able to build entirely new use cases and realize new opportunities that are not possible anywhere else. And that's what really sets us apart. So we'll like when we release smart contracts, we'll really explain all of these different concepts in more detail. Education is very important, right? Did someone or some company got in contact with the IF after the EPSI announcement that you never thought of? I never would do. Yes. I would say the EPSI announcement has brought us so much more street cred, right? Credibility in the market, and especially with traditional companies. Because it's like, quite honestly, it's a very clear stamp of approval that what we're doing is seen as adding value and seen as something that has a lot of potential to be like to help solve problems of others, but also to really create and enable new use cases. So many companies reach out to us, or like several companies reach out to us, that they are congratulating us, but also that they're very excited about where we are headed. Obviously, I can't mention those companies, but it's a very obvious like stamp of approval for us here. Next question. Hi Dom, I have a few questions. Did you ever get to speak to Mike Novogratz after the tweet reply you sent to him about IOTA's level 1 solutions? We are in quite close contact with, what is this company called again? I forgot his name. I forgot the name. But we are in close contact with his trading / custody provider. Galaxy Digital, that's what it's called. And I haven't spoken with him after the tweet. Quite honestly, I'm mainly doing the tweet stuff for fun. It's not like we are not in. It's not like we can't reach out to those people, or that we need Twitter to be our medium of communication. So it's more for fun. We'll definitely speak a lot more with those like, I don't know, legit players or traders or custody providers, especially once we have smart contracts, simply because that is something that many of them are very excited about. Yeah. Next question. Do you have any information regarding US exchange listing IOTA that you can share with us? It's a big focus, as I always say, because quite honestly, it's a little bit ridiculous that you can't buy IOTA in the US. When I was in Südtirol, like where I come from, the family of my girlfriend was actually there as well, and they asked me like, "Hey, where can I buy IOTA tokens?" And I was actually thinking, like, where can you buy IOTA tokens? because especially in the US, it's so difficult, and it's nearly impossible to do it in a very, it's impossible to do it in a seamless way. You can't just log into an app and be like, hey, like, let me buy $1,000 worth of IOTA tokens right now. So it's very painful in that regard. So we are really working on solving this problem. We're tackling this problem by working with custody providers to get them to integrate IOTA. Because once you're in one of these custody providers, it will be a lot easier for exchanges to then list you as well. And we are obviously in contact with Coinbase, with Gemini, with FTX. So all I can say is we are very aware of this problem, and we'll do our best to make sure that we have an exchange partner as soon as possible. Any word from Binance US with regards to them opening deposits and withdrawals? It's another one that I'm a little bit confused about, because Binance has done the full integration of IOTA. We reached out to Binance US. We also reached out to Bittrex, for example. So Bittrex should go live soon again. Binance US, we will ping them again, and hopefully we know more. Last question. When Moon? I hope you're not joking. I don't know. We're here about value creation and focus on actually delivering stuff that solves problems. When Moon? In soon. Soon is my only answer to that. I'm just reading this question here. Like, I understand it's up to Binance, yes, but quite frankly, what else should the answer be? We can't implement their solution for them, and helping Binance with the integration of IOTA was already a huge task for us, simply because it took up a lot of time to get them to upgrade. And I think with Binance US, I don't know why they don't use the same backend infrastructure as Binance. All I can say is that you have to understand, like, this is not a simple problem with IOTA oftentimes, right? All of those organizations are going through a lot of changes themselves, right? And so we don't have any control over those external forces. And oftentimes they have different priorities and different things that they can work on. And all I can tell you is, like, we are aware of the problem, and we'll make sure that it gets resolved in a timely manner. All right, let's do 2 more questions before we jump off. Hi, Dom. I saw this article on adoption of a common consumer-facing IoT standard. Apparently, Apple, Amazon, Google, Comcast, Samsung, and the Zigbee Alliance have aligned on a common IoT protocol a few months ago named Matter. Is this on the IOTA Foundation's radar? How would IOTA fit into this development? Let me open it. Matter is the foundation for connecting things. So overall, IOTA is not a connectivity protocol, and IOTA is not meant for data transmission, right? We are not the pipe, so to say, that you use to replace Zigbee, that you use to replace Bluetooth, and so on and so forth. And IOTA is more of a programmable infrastructure that you can rely on to automate certain processes and also provide trust, right? And that's why, for example, Matter or Zigbee or LoRaWAN are perfect partners for us, because we don't focus on how to get the data from one machine to another machine. We rather focus on the use cases on top, right? How to make the data secure, how to make decisions with that data. So we are aware of Matter. I think right now it's really focused on smart home devices. And personally, I don't think that we as IOTA have a lot to do with smart homes, like with the access and digital identity. We definitely have a lot to do there. But right now it's not a really big priority. So we are aware of Matter, and once we, I think once DID, like IOTA identity is ready, we can push this forward even more. But yeah. Next question. So this will be the last question. Dom, not so much a question as a request. Could you get Darcy on, or could you yourself discuss IOTA's hierarchical? That's, by the way, that's always a difficult word to pronounce. Hierarchical sharding approach. I think it's truly beautiful and it will blow the community's minds. Also, when? Awesome. So first of all, we know it's pretty exciting, and we will share that our sharding approach. When we share it with all of you, we'll add some click-through dummies so that all of you can understand how it works. So apart from the white paper, there will obviously be a proper explanation on sharding and how it's going to work. And I think Darcy would be amazing to have on the show. He's been with IOTA since, I don't know, 2017. He was one of the students of Sergey Popov, right? And he's an amazing researcher and has contributed so much to IOTA. So I'll make sure to get Darcy on the show when we release our sharding approach. And maybe something else that's interesting to share is that the sharding approach is actually also what is going to set us apart with the EPSI proposal. And it will be a very exciting thing for IOTA, because this is really how it sort of clicks in your head how IOTA is not just a cryptocurrency, not just a distributed ledger, but it's really a foundational technology, like a distributed, trusted web, right? And that's what we're building, and that's why the sharding approach is very exciting, so that all of you can also understand better how we want to realize that vision. Because so far, we always talk about big goals, right? Machine economy, running entire industries on top of IOTA. But with the sharding approach, we can clearly understand how we want to achieve that. And so, yeah, once it's ready, we'll share it with all of you. No timelines, remember? The last time I gave timelines, it kind of screwed me. Also, I'm curious about Olaf's Aeon. I'd imagine it has been rolled up into the selective permanent project. I thought time warps were a clever idea for proof of inclusion. Will SP Node offer this feature via a similar mechanism or something entirely different? The selective permanent stuff is being worked on as we speak. I think it's pretty close from what I remember. I personally don't know the exact details of how it's implemented, simply because the team has made some pretty nice improvements there. There were also some discussions around how to leverage the IOTA token for proof of inclusion stuff. What I can suggest is that once we actually have the selective permanode solution out, that somebody from the team comes on board or does like a proper show to explain how the solution is working. But I think selective permanodes is a very important solution, right? To give to the community, simply because you don't want to store all the data, but at the same time you kind of have to store your data for the next couple of years, right? Maybe let's do one more question. Oh wait, by the way, was it this one? Oh yeah, yes. Tell the team they're kicking ass. I'll tell them that. All right, let me do two more questions, simply because they look kind of interesting. Did I do the ranking again wrong? Oh yeah, I was ranked by best. I should do top next time. We'll make up for it by doing more questions. You know, the new Reddit interface is really annoying, I must say. But I don't use Reddit that much. All right. I've been following IOTA since 2017, and one of my struggles promoting it to international friends and family has been the accessibility to the token. What is the plan for integrating IOTA on more exchanges? What challenges do you foresee in integrating IOTA with other cross-chain DeFi solutions for swaps? And the strategy is to get integrated, right? To really push forward with custody solutions, because they are sort of the core. I would say they are the most important puzzle pieces when it comes to exchange integrations. because many exchanges don't do custody themselves anymore. And so they have a partner for that, like, for example, Curve, as we know, who got bought by PayPal, or Fireblocks, or other solutions. So that is really our strategy with exchanges. Other than that, quite frankly, exchange integrations is all about how good of a contact you have to them, because they are like 1,000 people organizations, so they are huge and oftentimes very political in how decisions are being made. And other than that, it's a big focus, right? We want to have a very liquid market. We want to have it easy to purchase IOTA tokens everywhere around the world. So it's definitely something that we're focused on. IOTA with other cross-chain DeFi solutions for swaps. I think for that we need wrapped IOTA on Ethereum, for example. Again, that is what we can offer once we have a custody solution. And once we have that, you will be able to use your IOTA tokens on Celsius, right, to lend them out, to earn interest on it, and also participate in DeFi applications. So yes, we will make that happen one step at a time. Again, it's a very difficult. Crypto is a very interesting game. Let's put it that way, and it can be very exhausting sometimes, but it's a lot of fun, and the challenges make it worth it. Again, a Redditor with negative karma. Hi Dom, about 1 to 2 months ago, we found out on Twitter that you and Arben Kane, not Kent, founded Smart Contracts Technologies AG. At that time, you stated in a comment that this is a subsidiary of the IOTA Foundation and the extracts from the commercial registry. However, there is no information that the IF is involved. Only you and Arben Kane are shown as managing directors. And first of all, I don't know why it doesn't show that in the commercial registry, because it should actually show that the shares of the AG are owned by 100% by the IOTA Foundation. So maybe some quick circling back is that right now we have the IOTA Foundation and we have the subsidiary under the IOTA Foundation, which is supposed to issue grants, right? Which we call the Ecosystem Development Grants, right? The Foundation, EDF. This is right now a German organization. And at the moment, we're in the process of registering that entity in Switzerland so that we have a more broader mandate to give out grants to the community, including startups. So that's happening right now. And hopefully over the next few weeks, we will have that Swiss entity set up. And in addition to that, what we did over the last few weeks actually was register a for-profit subsidiary under the IOTA Foundation, which is called Smart Contracts Technologies AG. Now, this entity is fully owned by the IOTA Foundation. It's a 100% subsidiary, and it's built up with the purpose of actually enabling us to charter into new ecosystems, to help IOTA, right? To push IOTA into new ecosystems. Right now, I personally can't share more about what it's about because I'm not here to pre-announce things, right? we learned that, so I can't talk about the tasks and the goals. But once it's ready, once we are in a state to do that, all of you will be able to learn more about it and what it's about. But all that really matters right now is that all of this is being done with the intention and the objective of pushing IOTA, right? To really make sure that the IOTA protocol and the IOTA ecosystem is being widely adopted, and that the IOTA token has a very concrete purpose, right? /tokenomics. And so the entity is there to help with that. And it's a pretty exciting task, I would say. And we've been working on executing that, right? So we have a clear strategy on what we're doing there. In addition to that, we can actually do for-profit activities as well with this, right? Or invest into startups because the AG also has its own capital and has its own balance sheet, right? So other than that, once we have more, we will share obviously details about Smart Contracts Technologies AG. It's a very cryptic name, by the way, for a reason. And but you can guess it's about smart contracts. And so other than that, I hope all of you understand sort of our focus right now. So everybody in the foundation is really focused and is really working a lot on specific tasks. We have a clear roadmap ahead of us, even though we don't share timelines anymore, and even though we don't share, don't pre-announce things. I hope that all of you understand that we are obviously very much focused on delivering on the purpose and the vision of IOTA, and that we ourselves have a very clear roadmap of what needs to be executed, and are also very confident in where we stand right now, right? We have sort of more clarity on mass adoption, right? With EPSI, with Gaia X, with some of the corporate partners that we're working with, and we have a very clear technical roadmap where we are now extending the features and the use cases of IOTA with the digital assets framework and with smart contracts that are coming up. And so we are very confident, we are very excited, and I hope that over the next few weeks, we'll be able to loop all of you in a lot more into IOTA, right? Into the community, so that all of you can really help build IOTA together with us. Because this is not just about the IOTA Foundation pushing IOTA, but this is really about us together, right? The IOTA community, making IOTA a huge ecosystem and make it really a technology that is on the same level as the web. Right? We have some big goals with this. So I'm very excited to build together with all of you. And I'm very excited to be part of the community, as always. And if you have any other questions, just ping me on Discord. And I'll make sure to answer all of you. Without further ado then, I hope that all of you have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and make sure to